Hello, you all. Here we have our analysis of a conflict between two countries, that is Morocco and Algeria. So our presentation, we have the contextualization. We have here the history and other topics in this case. So we are going to start with the history that who I going to explain the origin of this conflict. So the origin of these hostilities between these countries has a backdrop with the conflict in Western Sahara. So the first one is the War of the Sands in 1963. So this is the first serious clash between these two countries occurred during the War of the Sands that broke out between October and November. The war began after incident on the border. So the next one problem was the Green March in 1975. So in this problem, Algeria then expressed its opposition to an event. In this event, Spain their military force, so give the power to Morocco. So Algeria expressed his opposition to this problem. So they massively expelled some 45,000 Moroccans from its territory. The next one is in 1989, the creation of, this is not a problem, but in this year, they tried to create a relationship between Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya, but this have a problem. In 1994, Algeria closed the line border with Morocco in 1994. After, this is because this country imposed compulsory visas, and Algeria, after Morocco, was accused because they have secret service in this country. And the last conflict that this country had is the breakdown of the relationships in 2021. The tension between Morocco and Algeria has worsened again after the military operation in the border area when the Moroccan army evict a group of Sahrawi demonstration who prevent the passage of passengers through this border. This is the last problem that they had.
And now to talk about the causes. First of all, the territory is on the western edge of the Sahara Desert, and the strains along some 1,000 kilometers of Atlantic coastline. It borders Morocco to the north, Algeria to the east, and Valentina to the south, on the southern part. In the large phosphate reserves and one of the richest fishing grounds in the world, traditionally populated by beaver tribes, Western Sahara was colonized by Spain in 1884, and 50 years later, in 1934, it became a Spain province called Spain's Sahara, until the UN calls for the decolonization for the territory in 1965. But an independence movement and also began in the Western Sahara itself with the creation in 1973 of the Polisario Front. The warlike tension between Morocco and the Polisario was reactivated in the late 2020 after Moroccan troops rallied to the Gerat borders crossing and delimited zone separating Mauritania from the Moroccan-controlled areas, and their common border has been closed since the 1994. And between 100,000 and 200,000 Saharan refugees live in precarious conditions in camps around the Algeria desert, one of the Tindov. However, in the face of the deadlock, the major development in recent years have been the decision of some stations, notably that taken by the United States for the end of 2020 and now under Spain. The Spain government has just endorsed the Moroccan Autonomy Initiative for the Western Sahara as the most realistic way to resolve the conflict, with the represented change in the country's official position. And until now, it defends the arguments and the United Nations to hold a referendum. The decision follows to the USU during December 22, and when the US President Donald Trump signed a statement recognized Morocco's sovereignty over Western Sahara.
Well, and now I'm going to talk about the consequences. The first is that Algeria announced the breaking of diplomatic relations with Morocco. In Rabat, the official position expressed its surprise at a decision that was considered totally absurd, based on false pretexts, and completely unjustified. From Algiers, on the contrary, they justified their unilateral decisions by stating that Morocco persists in carry out various hostile decisions towards Algeria. And the second consequence is that Morocco is accused in Algiers of being behind the multiple and huge criminal fires that northern Algeria has suffered, with the terrible result of thousands of hectares burned and almost 100 fatalities. In the ever active Algerian rumor mill, it is suggested that these fires were set off using Israeli drones. It is also true that a few weeks ago, the King of Morocco, Mohammed VI, proposed an effort to improve relations with Algeria, but previous precedents were still very fresh to the Algerian leadership. The accumulation of points of disagreement exists is its abortion capacity, and let us remember reserves its purpose of diverting attention from the Algerian Iraq. And finally, it should be remembered that in July, the Pegasus scandal broke out, that is to say the denunciation of the use of Israeli technology by the Moroccan secret services to spy on personalities, activists, journalists, and leaders of several countries, including the French presidency. In Algeria, up to 6,000 telephones will have been spied on by the Moroccan intelligence services using Pegasus, including those of the highest authorities in Algeria. Okay, the background of this crisis is multiple and very serious, so much so that on the same day in which the Algerian minister Ramtin Lamamra announced the return of his ambassador, the Algerian authorities confirmed and recalled after so many years that in the War of the Sands there were 8,050 shahid or martyrs, a term commonly used for the victims of the war for independence against the French.
Es que hay grabaciones anteriores.
Okay. One day proposal that is being implemented to mitigate the negative impact of the conflict is the OCME's shipping company intends that a new line from Cartagena, Murcian region, reach Morocco with the intention of overcoming the commercial problems that Spain going through with the Algerian nation. Morocco to strangers is commercial ties with Spain. Sometimes that Britain spurred its economy after the recent announcement of a future marriage link with Saudi Arabia. On the other hand, the current war between Russia and Ukraine might lead to a reorientation of European energy policies as far as gas is concerned. That is, it will help implement new policies in Europe and Asia, which will contribute to current conflict to help deal with it.
Okay, now the conclusions are the rupture of diplomatic relations with Morocco announced by Algeria on August 24, 2021 culminates a long process of distrust towards the kingdom, haunted by an increase in COVID-19 and by dramatic fires in Kabylia. This summer, Morocco is accused of complicity in the fires that have devastated the massive in the area. The fires are analyzed as hostile acts that will be part of a plot whose purpose is that destabilize the country to justify to justify to justify to justify its decision. It lists a long list of grievances that includes the Algerian victims of the War of the Sands, the conflict in Western Sahara, to put an end to the danger posed to Algeria and the region by the normalization of relations between Israel and Morocco. And this is our references, and thanks for your attention.